Hey, fellow Guardians. Recently, Anna Barton in the Ames chapter taught the wedge move in longsword fencing. Now, I'm really glad she taught this move because that is a great introduction to the concepts of binding and winding and can really give you an edge when you're in that mode of point fencing. You know, with the point of your sword, this is a really great thrust, and it can also lead into rapier and saber plays, which is great for versatility. But today I just want to talk about some of the nuances of this move and a couple ways that you can apply body mechanics to make this as best it can be. So, let's get started. The first thing to think about is, let's explain the move. You have a guard in fool's position, and you are effectively bringing your sword to plow, angling their sword away from you. Presumably they have their sword pointing at you, probably from plow or long point. But anyway, you are angling their sword away and lunging in. Few things to note about this. When you're angling their sword away, you want to angle it so it's not crossing their body. What do I mean by that? So if I am in left plow, which is kind of the standard position for a right-handed swordsman, you don't want, and I'm your opponent of course, you don't want to move my sword across my body. The reason is that doing this pushes me to a point of strength, so I'm still very stable, and as soon as I see that my sword moved off and you're thrusting in, I'm coming up and I'm going to deliver a thrust from Ox. And that's an underbind, and that's about the end of you. Instead, you should be moving my blade away from my center. Now this puts me off balance, and any defensive action I do from here is now trying to come up this way, which means I'm not in position to counter, and again, you bought yourself another move. This is a good setup, even if you don't get me in that first one, this is a good setup for a follow-up cut from below if you want to. Now when you do this, you want, as I said, you want to select whichever side and push their sword to the outside of their stance. And I heard described by one particular person, you know who you are, that it was a wedge step thrust. Now I'm sure you had good meaning with this, but let's clarify. You are not stepping here, you are lunging. What's the difference? A lunge is going to be the release of weight. So when I'm doing the wedge, I am binding and just releasing the foot and thrusting out. So this gives your opponent no time to react, gives them no forewarning of what's coming, and it means that you have your full power and full mass behind the thrust. They will have to really put some dedication to deflect this. And so yeah, train that up. Remember the basics of binding, the strong and weak of the sword, and thank you. Good luck.